hours grew all outside of the wildfire growing area. Those were the frustrating part. Yeah, we get started.
Ken, we'll start the meeting. If you'd please rise with me for the invocation. Heavenly Father, again, we thank you for this opportunity to come and assemble here in this great nation. Our freedom, Lord, we take for granted many times, but I ask that tonight, Lord, that you just bless each one of us up here as we hear these two candidates come and speak to us about their qualifications, that you bless them, Lord. But God, give us insight as to what the county needs. And Father, that we would choose the right person to go forward with our county. Lord, this is all that we ask tonight. In your holy name, amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
I do.
Here for us to share.
I think, well, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, but I think the order of the process is going to be, there's a cup somewhere that has the two names in it, and I'm going to draw from that cup, and we're going to decide which candidate goes first. And then we'll ask the second candidate, since there's only two, to step in the back. There's a room back here that y'all will wait in there while the other candidate's being interviewed. We're going to allow you to introduce yourself first. So I just kind of give you the ground rules here. You'll introduce yourself, and how long we're going to allow that?
10 minutes.
10 minutes max. It shouldn't take you 10 minutes, and don't feel like you got to take 10 minutes. And then while that's going on, the person will be in the back, and then we'll ask the other person to come out and introduce themselves, and then we'll whoever name is drawn out of the cup, we'll go through the questioning process first. I ask, if we can, commissioners, if you would ask, we'll go around for one round of questions, just one question we'll go through, and then we'll come back and start over with a second round of questioning for a total of 2 questions each, if you have that many. And is that all the ground rules that I need to explain, or is there more?
I think that pretty much sums it up.
Okay. Well, let me just draw a name here, so everybody sees that this is not rigged. I have no idea what's on what. And David Edwards will be first. So David, if you'll come up and begin the introduction process, and Pam will ask you to go in the back, and then we'll get you out to do the introduction, and then David will come back out for the first round of questions.
You can go outside if you want to.
You can go outside, but I don't think she wants to be in the heat.
No.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead, David. I'm David Edwards. I currently live in Sopchoppy. I was born in Valdosta, Georgia, raised in Thomasville, halfway between Thomasville and Sopchoppy. We on the weekends we spent every weekend in Sopchoppy, and on during summer vacation, etc. After school, I moved away and started a family. I currently have 3 sons: Matthew, Joshua, and John Alex. I'm married to Laura Edwards. Y'all may know her. I started my career at Bald Head Island off of Southport. It's the island off of Southport, North Carolina. There I worked my way up and became the Vice President of Development Operations there. And I was in charge of all the utility systems, all the planning infrastructure for the island to be fully developed out. I saw that the major infrastructure was installed. Also, I was in charge of ferry systems, all of the ferry operations, which had to do with shuttling people back and forth. We had 3 ferries that were 100-plus passenger ferries. The barge systems, the marina systems, horizontal development, planning, and our planning department, as well as warehousing, just all of the functions that it took to operate the island. We actually formed a city in I believe 1985 or somewhere around there. I was instrumental in helping of the formation of the city, and I actually served as the primary person while I was there as the emergency coordinator. We had hurricanes come in or whatever. I was the guy that made the final call. They said, okay, let's get everybody off, because on a true island, it's much like Dog Island, but on steroids. It's a large island. We had to do that way ahead of time, so ahead of time other than the mainland. So anyway, I was in charge of that and worked there till 1997. I got an opportunity to expand my career, and I went with Blue Green Corporation, a publicly traded development company out of Boca Raton, Florida. There I was the vice president of development, in charge of developments throughout the Southeast, Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Georgia. There I was in charge of the acquisition teams where we'd go out and go to different states and different areas, and we would try to formulate where we wanted to invest our money. We had our stockholders, and they wanted to, naturally to grow the business. So we went and we had teams that would. I had teams that would go out, and we would go and just find the property, and then we would go through the planning process, and then I'd do the initial performance and set the budgets, do all the planning and all the stuff that is involved in that. During that time, I've built right at about between 6 or 7, you could call them, I'm not sure that's according to your definition, large-scale communities. And of that, was in charge of the sales and marketing, some of the sales and marketing on some of them and some of them not, but we had different divisions doing different things. Also, another thing that I was tasked with is I was the Blue Green's forensic guy for troubled assets. I would go and like to Texas or to communities out west, and I would actually go in and see what was wrong with them, break them down, and then come back with a management plan that says here's what we need to do. So anyway, after then Blue Green, the market collapsed, real estate market. So we were a victim of the real estate market, and I told Laura, I said, it's time for us to make a change. We were living in Atlanta at the time, and the real estate market had just about completely collapsed, and so I wanted to make a change. So we loaded up the truck and the dog, and we come to Wakulla County. And luckily, when we got here, Laura, she started with the county, as well as at the time, luckily to have it, Allen's Excavation was getting ready to start the sewer system for the city of Sopchoppy. So naturally, that was in my background, so I was a good fit for that, and luckily he hired me on, and I'm still working with Allen's even though we completed that project. While here, I started with the Code Enforcement Board, and I was a vice chair at the Code Enforcement Board before I became a city council person with the city of Sopchoppy, and then I had to step down from that position. But anyway, I look forward to serving the residents and the board of Wakulla County, and looking forward to staying here and raising my little boy right here in Wakulla County. That's about my life story.
Okay. All right, we'll ask you to step in the back and tell Pam to come out, and she'll do her introduction, and then we'll start with the questions. Have all you want.
All you.
Skip, let's say I'm not as disciplined as our chair.
Pam, just introduce yourself, and you take your time. You got 10 minutes.
Okay, I won't take 10 minutes,
Okay.
I promise. I probably won't take just 2, though. Back in 1961, a small child was born. No, I'll start with 1991. That was when I moved to Wakulla County. I was, at the time, a single mother with a 6-year-old child. And I came here because, like many people, I knew that the schools had an excellent reputation, and I wanted my son to have the best educational opportunity possible. So I found a piece of property with a home on it that I could afford, and more importantly, a place where I knew that I could feel safe with my son. And so we got here in 1991, and I fell in love with Wakulla County. I was amazed at the incredible, natural beauty that we had, and also just the small town atmosphere and the feeling that, everybody knows everybody, and that we all look out for each other. So I was happy to be in Wakulla County. In 1997, I was working at the Department of Community Affairs. I was the grants coordinator there, had worked my way up in state government since 1983 to a mid-level position, but I was in a position that didn't really offer very much personal or professional growth opportunity. And so a coworker told me about a job opening with Wakulla County, and it was the grants coordinator. And actually the day that she told me was the day that the application cycle closed. So I took off for the afternoon. I went home and updated my resume, and I got it into Ms. Jewel White just a few minutes before 5 o'clock that day. And fortunately, I was called in for an interview and selected for the position. And so that started my 14 years experience with Wakulla County and Wakulla County government. In preparation for this interview and for the interviews with the county commissioners in this meeting, I thought a lot about Wakulla County government, how we serve our citizens, what I might do or change as county administrator, and how my position as county administrator could add value to that process. And the best analogy I've come up with is one that relates to how you might look at your personal health. I believe that overall the health of Wakulla County government is fair to good, and that I don't believe we need a major operation like an organ transplant or bypass surgery. However, like so many of us, including myself, there's a lot of things, many things we could do to improve our health, strengthen our stamina, and increase not only our lifespan but our quality of life. Just like someone who becomes dedicated to improving their overall health, I think that the first step is to do a complete physical, to determine where you are, and then what actions we need to take to get on the right track to a healthy, full life. I believe that my 28 years of public administration experience at the federal, state, and local level, including 14 years of specific experience here in Wakulla County with project management and grassroots planning and implementation, make me uniquely qualified to maybe assess the county's health or the county government's health and determine the right combination of diet and exercise to improve it and continue the good habits that we've developed over the years. Specifically, the strengths I believe I bring as a candidate for this position include what most of you know about with me, which is a very strong experience in grants and project management. I believe that we are facing, obviously, tough economic times, and that we need to take full advantage of all of the resources that are out there and available to us. During my tenure as the grants coordinator, I brought in literally millions of dollars of grant funding that provided funding for projects that included sewer and water in some of our poorest neighborhoods, park improvements to nearly every park in the county, upgrades to boat ramps and increased public access, land acquisition, and planning efforts that have provided public input into a process that had not been done previously. My experience in these grassroots efforts gives me a strong indication of how to bring parties together, how important it is that all the stakeholders be at the table and to have good discussion. You have to be willing to hear opposing views, but you have to also realize that everybody's there for usually the same reason, and that is that they love this county and they want to see things move forward. So I think I bring a unique perspective to that. I have, over the 28 years of experience, I have built very strong relationships at all levels of government and the nonprofit sector as well as private industry. I understand the importance of strong partnerships. I think especially for a small rural county like ours, we have to look at who can help us get the job done and where our commonalities come together and how we can help each other. I have in nearly every organization I've been involved with, and if you looked at my application very closely, you know I've been in several volunteer positions in nonprofit organizations, and in every case I have been ultimately asked to take a leadership position in those organizations, so I think I have strong leadership ability. I have a very strong work ethic that comes from from my dad and my mom, who's here tonight. And I believe strongly in transparency and accountability. And I think there is some perception that maybe we haven't done the best at that. But I know that we can do that, and we can do better. I have confidence in my ability to make tough decisions and carry them out. I have been in positions where I've had to deal with, staff that weren't performing up to par, and made some very hard decisions about keeping or continuing their service. And so I'm prepared to do what needs to be done to bring the county forward. And then I also understand that my job as the county administrator includes providing you, our decision makers and policy makers, with the information, all the information that you need to make truly informed decisions. And while I don't have all the answers to everything, I almost always know where to get them. I just finally believe that these strengths, combined with my overwhelming passion for this county and its future, make me uniquely qualified for this position. If you're looking for someone that can hit the ground running, I'm your man, so to speak. I appreciate very much the confidence that you've placed in me that's brought me to this top 3 position. And I'm confident that no matter how it turns out, our county's going to move forward in a positive way. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Pam. If you'll go back and ask David to come out here,
Okay.
and just be patient with us. We'll go through the questioning, and then we'll get you out. Okay. Is there any special person to go first? Does anybody start first? Okay.
Can't stop thinking about his brownies.
David, if you would let Mr. Moore get back, and then we're going to start over here with Lynn, and we're each going to ask you one question, and then we'll go back and start over with a second question if they so desire to ask a second. And take as much time as you want to answer the question, or as little time. It's up to you.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Arts?
Do we get to ask follow-up questions? I'm sorry, it's just one question.
No, follow-up's fine. I think that's a good idea.
Like most counties in Florida, we're experiencing declining tax revenues. We also have depleted our reserves. Please describe your personal experiences and successes with improving the financial status of a local government or business or organization in dire financial straits. Please also outline specifically and step by step how you will go about improving our county's financial profile during these difficult economic times.
From a business standpoint, there's a couple of them. As I mentioned before, I was in charge of forensic. They would send me to troubled assets, and I would go and evaluate those assets, meaning development and the offices that went with the development. First, you break down first thing I look at is where's the money going. That's number one. You get a hold of the pocketbook. Where is your money out? Where is your money outflow? And you justify the outflow, and you rank the outflow as to, is it necessary? Is this discretionary spending? Is this necessary spending? Then you take a look at I'm speaking from a development side here. You look at the potential revenues, and you run a projection out over a build out period, and then I would take that and I'd say, okay, well, we've got to take all we're going to meet our obligation to our shareholders, which that was all we were worried about, was our shareholders. We made a commitment to each one of our shareholders, to our shareholders and our board. Here's what we're going to bring you back on a return on investment. And I'd take and run that out over a 5-year period, or whatever that period was of expenses. Then I'd take the revenues and do the same thing. And if it didn't come up to our thresholds, then we had to make cuts. We had to streamline our operation. We had to figure out a new way. If we couldn't improve our revenues by adding lots or doing putting condos in versus this and selling the commercial properties, whatever that was, we tried to fix it with some revenue. But at the end of the day, the problem is with revenue, as if you're in the development business, you'll call it whipping a performer, and you can do that easy on an Excel spreadsheet, but the real actuality, you had to make fundamental changes in the way you did your business. And that's what I did. I would make those fundamental changes to either reduce down unnecessary spending that was going on, or in places we would actually cut staff to get to where we had to, but also make changes in our revenue and our development plan. But it was a wholesome look at. We just didn't look at one area. I looked at the whole thing. I did that with Blue Green at Lake Ridge Communities in Texas, just outside of Dallas. Done that at Winding River Plantation. In fact, I took it over in Southport for Blue Green, and at the time they were bleeding money fairly bad, and I immediately come in and stopped all work because the money flow was going in all different directions. Stopped everything, brought everything back under control, re-performed and recalculated the P&Ls, did everything, reset the budgets, and started over again. We ended up that community by running it, and then I ran it that way. Ended up running at about a 50, right at between a 48 and a 50% margin, which is not bad. And so we did that and ended up selling, well above $70+ million in real estate at a 50% margin. So that's from a business standpoint. And do the same thing here at the county. The same thing would be here, is go look at it. For me to step in and say right now and say I'd change this person or that person, that's not fair. I couldn't. Been there, done it. I can't do that. I need to get in and see what's going on and get into the operation, and then, based on basic fundamental management principles, look at the operation of that particular department, look at what it's doing, how it has performed, the personnel that's there, and based upon, look at what they can do to improve themselves, and then from there, if there's potential ways to streamline that operation, then that's what I'll put a plan together to streamline that operation. If it's whatever that thing is, that's the way I would go about looking at it. First thing I would do, get a hold of the checkbook. I got to know where the money's going. If you got to know where the money's going. If you don't, that's the very first thing you do. Then from there, I can start formulating, find out where the money is going, where the outflow's going. Then from there, once you get that under control, and it may be going out to consultants. That's the first thing you check out is whatever the stuff going outside of your departments are. Try to get your hands around that. And then I would go inside of each one of the BOCC departments, and we would look at it and look at based upon the workload that they've got, based upon the personnel that they have, based upon whatever their, like for ESG, it might be we'd look at, what your workload is versus your personnel that you've got. Can we streamline here? Can we streamline there? Based upon what they're bringing in.
Okay. Any follow-up? Jerry?
David, I appreciate your being here.
Thank you.
You're so much overqualified for this job. I don't know how many people know that, but I know where you've been. I know I've met a lot of people like you, and we would be so very lucky if you were our administrator.
Thank you.
Okay, so no question. All right. In light of the last administrator's perceived issues with disclosure, do you believe in full public disclosure? And then follow up to that is why is that important?
I believe that is important, yes. And because I need to disclose if there's any problems that may pertain to what I'm getting into.
Okay. Alan?
Please explain the difference in the mission and goals of a private business and local government, and how you would measure success differently between the two.
Excuse me, what was the question again? I'm sorry.
Explain the difference in the mission and goals of a private business versus a local government, and how you would measure success between the two.
Naturally, the mission of a business naturally is their bottom line. They're looking to turn a profit. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. The mission of a government is not necessarily to turn a profit, but is to provide a service and to provide a good framework for this for business to operate on, operate within a municipality or a county. So I would, in managing a county, the two have to, you got to be able to mesh the two in a degree in a way that a good, well-operating, well-orchestrated, well-managed county and well-funded will actually help business, help attract business through, make sure that your fees are correct and they're business friendly to where the business can actually come in. It makes sense, and the staff is hospitable, and everyone is working towards that, because naturally the more business we get in, the higher more taxes are collected, et cetera, and more services that we can provide for our citizens. But clearly there's two different missions, because there's certain forms of the government that is service related purely, and there's not a revenue or a profit line there. It's more of a we're providing a service here, and it's a dead expense. And from there, though, we got to make sure that we're spending the tax dollar of the citizens, spending it efficiently and effectively.
Do you have any future career aspirations? Basically, I'm trying to ascertain how long you would like to be in this position, to be sure it's not a stepping stone. I know past administrators, that's exactly what it was.
Nope, I don't need this for my resume. I don't, I'm planning to retire right here. I live right here in Wakulla County and finish out my career, and I hope to retire as the county manager for Wakulla County. About 15 years, by the way.
And 4.
Okay, Ms. Arts?
Our county lags behind many counties in Florida and the nation when it comes to energy conservation and renewable energy. Tax dollars are wasted, our businesses are less competitive, and our citizens have less spending money as a result. Please describe what you will do to reduce electricity and fuel expenditures within county government and within the county at large.
Within the county government, within the purview of the BOCC departments, first place would be to look at is probably the biggest fuel energy user is ESG, with the road equipment and the amount of vehicles that they have. Is look at that and look at the possibilities of look at what we can do about reducing the size of vehicles and getting more fuel efficient vehicles, as well as the potential, especially during the summer months, look at maybe running at or operate 410s, to where the equipment is idle for equipment and trucks are idle for 3 days. That's a real possibility, as well as looking at doubling up. And then whereas if you had, for instance, a meter reader or whatever, they should be in some type of hybrid, where it's an electric type vehicle. Especially in other folks, there's no reasons why in other departments, such as some of the building departments, and I'm not sure what other departments have vehicles, but make sure that the proper vehicles, we shouldn't have an F-250 being run by a building inspector. It should be a 6-cylinder truck or a hybrid type truck vehicle. As far as electricity is concerned, the best way is you can tell people till they're blue in the face to cut the lights off and cut the air conditioner off when you leave. But at the end of the day, we need to have a program that automatically shuts those down, because folks are some people will do it, some people won't, and that's just the way it is. As well as far as helping in the community, one of the things that I think that could be implemented is in which I helped in the process of talking with UNC, University of North Carolina, and also the city of Chapel Hill, and along with Chatham County, we would develop one of our communities we were getting ready to develop. We were going to develop a community that was going to be sustained by their bus service. The city of Chapel Hill did not have any, or had very little room for parking. It was their primary concern. And they wanted to have a place also, if housing was a problem, they wanted to have a place to house their professors. So we had worked out a transit system to where they were going to be able to come to the development and the actual bus professors and doctors back to the hospital as well as back to UNC. We reinstituted, that kind of fell apart based upon dollars just didn't work. And we reinstituted that, gave that back to Chatham County and said, you know, you might want to do something. So we gave that program to Chatham County. They actually instituted a park and ride program where the city buses come out and do that. I would think in the future, especially as gas prices, I'm not too sure how bus friendly the city of Tallahassee is. It's not very bus friendly, but at some point in time, you know, we need to invest in park and ride areas for people so we can, our primary source of employers in Tallahassee, and do some sort of park and ride, etc., along those lines. But you know, at the end of the day, we should be leaders in, you know, making sure our buildings are automatically where they'll shut down, and we're conserving as much fuel through our ESG and other departments as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Gary, anything? Okay. What do you perceive to be the administrator's role in working with the commission?
As administrator, I work at the pleasure of the board. I administer the policies and procedures that you enact. My feelings as to it may have nothing to do with it. It's whatever. It's just like other board of directors I've worked with. Whatever, I'll present you with information, and I'll do whatever the board instructs. Those are my orders.
Okay. What happens if some of that may conflict with your own personal beliefs?
As my personal beliefs have nothing to do with it. I work at the direction of the board.
Okay. What about working with how do you perceive working with your role as with the county attorney?
Working with the county attorney, I would work right alongside with the county attorney as a part of the team. Would be my this day and time you have to work side by side with your attorney.
Okay. What about the community? Working with the same question, just the community.
The community?
Yeah.
Yes, most definitely. One of the things is my door will be open at all times for the community, as well as if anyone wants my cell phone, they'll do it. The only time I will not meet with someone is if I'm in a meeting or I'm on a phone call, etc. But another thing that I'm a person that I'll be in the office, and when I'm in the office, my door is open. But also, I will be out in the public. I will be seen out, and will, as problems arise, I'll be one of the people that goes out there and tries to help take care of the situation and make decisions within my preview, make decisions to go ahead and rectify the problem then versus leaving it alone, if we can possibly do that.
Okay. Alan?
You've not been a county administrator before. What do you anticipate your first month on the job looking like? How would you prepare? What do you anticipate your first actions being? How would you continue to educate yourself on what a good county administrator is?
First month, huh? I would say the first thing, the first month, it mainly would be getting around and meeting county staff and looking at not just the BOCC, but actually riding with the sheriff and working with Cheryl and looking at understanding the entire picture, not just the departments that are direct reports to me, but understanding that, as well as, like I said before, get a hold of find out where our expenses are going, find out what's going on, and be developing during the first month, be developing a strategy to move forward, because what I believe in is stable management, and I'd want to get to that as fast as we could and cut out, if we've got to reorganize whatever that is, I would want to go ahead and I'd bring it up to the board, we would discuss it, but I'd want to implement that as quick as possible so that we can stabilize and get people to where where the staff can begin to perform again. Not that they're not performing now, but we'll remove that doubt in the back of their mind. We say, here's what we're doing going forward. We're going to implement this program, and we'll implement it, and we'll run, and then we'll manage to that. And then on top of that is we will also measure what's going on. If we do make a change, we'll measure that change. Whatever gets measured gets done. That's been drilled in my head. So therefore, everything that we do, we'll be constantly measuring it through weekly staff meetings, monthly P&L meetings, whatever that may be. But each department head will be managed. I'll manage based upon that, and I will only manage the department heads. I can't manage all the people. I'll just manage the 5 or 6 department heads, whichever that may be. As far as education, if I were to get the job between now and the time, I'd continue attending all the meetings that are physically possible while trying to maintain another job. But also I would be looking into other areas to get other education. And I'd have to, start with the League of Municipalities and try to glean as much information, as well as at the same time be talking with staff. While I'm not working, I'll be doing that as well. That answers your question.
Thank you.
Okay. Nothing from Randy. Okay. Any follow-up questions? If not, thank you, David.
Mm-hmm.
We'll if you can ask Pam to come out now and just remind the board that.
Is there anything else that you
Yeah.
want to tell us that we need? You think? Okay.
Just remind the board that we need to ask the same questions of Pam when she comes out.
Why is how Jerry does this?
That's good for me. These are easy to remember.
Okay, Pam, again, we're going to do one round of questions through and then come back and start with the second round and
Okay.
take as much time as you need to answer the question or as little time.
Okay.
Lynn?
Okay. Like most counties in Florida, we're experiencing declining tax revenues. We've also depleted our reserves. Please describe your personal experiences and successes with improving the financial status of a local government or business or organization in dire financial straits. Please also outline specifically and step by step how you will go about improving our county's financial profile during these difficult economic times.
Okay, then. Well, my experience with local government has been right here. And the first thing and most important rule I was told when I came on as the grants coordinator is that you must find money, and you must find it with no match. We don't match. We're not going to match, so you need to go out and find money. Which, if you've been in the grant world at all, you know that's a very difficult thing to do. But that's what I did. And I don't know the exact figure, but I do know that I brought in literally millions of dollars over the time that I was here to implement the priority projects for the board. And I did that with maybe just 1 or 2 occasions where we actually had to put cash match in. Of course, we did lots of in-kind. Randy did plenty of that through Public Works, but we found the way to get the volunteers together and get that done. Nearly all of the projects that I've been involved with during that time and since then have been grassroots projects that began with no financial resource whatsoever. So it was a matter of bringing together all of the stakeholders involved in that project, finding out where the partners were that could help us get it done, of course researching any of the grant opportunities, and also looking for technical assistance has been really big in a lot of the the processes that I've been involved with the visioning and the revitalization projects in St. Mark's and Panacea, I've been able to access through the relationships I've built at state and federal levels, some really good resources for how we could get things done, how we could move forward. Most of the time, what I've learned is that starting with little or no money doesn't mean that you can't do it. It just means it may take a little longer to get there. And you're going to have to work really hard. And you're going to have to show that it's important to you as it is to the people that will help you fund it. So those are specific examples. If I were selected as county administrator, the first thing I would do is really go through our budget with our interim county administrator as well as our department heads with a fine-tooth comb and find out, where the money is going and why is it taking whatever it's taking to do what we need to do. I also feel very strongly that we have, I'm a process person. Like, I know I can, if you give me a project or something that you want done, I know the government process and have enough opportunity in the private industry to move through that process and get things moving. So I think there's some processes with our county government right now that need to be looked at and streamlined. And I think that we have a lot of talent. We have incredible talent that maybe some of it has been a little displaced or taken off target, that I think I would put back on focus.
Okay. More? Okay. In light of the last administrator's perceived issues with disclosure, do you believe in full public disclosure? And then expound on that, and why is that important?
I do believe in transparency. I think that there is. I think everyone is allowed their own privacy, but I think that anything that looks like that it would be in conflict with the job as county administrator or your position in the county certainly needs to be disclosed. I'm an open book. I can guarantee you that through this process I have been fully vetted. So I would be quite surprised if there was any other disclosure that hasn't been made on my behalf. But I think it's just mainly important that you have the trust of your citizens. You have to be able to have an open dialogue about the problems and the issues and work together to solve them. So I think maybe we've gotten a little too personal, and we've gotten off track of the issues and the things that are important in moving the county forward, and not a person. So again, I'm open to whatever is a reasonable information about myself and my life and how I would do this job. But I'm definitely open to complete and full disclosure and discussion of any county issue and how I would handle it.
Okay. Alan?
Could you please explain the difference in the mission goals of a private business versus a local government, and how you would measure success differently?
I think that the difference between county or any government and a private industry is that we are not in the business of making a profit. I think there are certainly plenty of areas where county government can learn from the business and private sector. I also think there are probably a lot of things that the private sector can also get from government. I think that sometimes government gets too involved in private business and vice versa. We are here to serve our citizens, we're here to make sure that they're safe and that they have the their needs met publicly. And I think that while we have to look at doing that in the most efficient manner possible, and certainly looking at how we're spending taxpayer money, and that when possible we want a good return on investment, that's not our primary goal. Our primary goal is to serve our citizens the best way that we can.
Randy?
Yeah, my question's a lot easier.
Yay.
Do you have any long-term career goals after this? In other words, is this a stepping stone type job? Are you looking to move on or to a different career in the future, or is this something you see yourself staying in a long time?
The answer is no, I don't see this as a stepping stone to something else. In fact, this wasn't even on my radar as a place I was looking to go a few years ago. The way that I have lived my professional life since I came to work here in the county has been where the strengths and the abilities that I have can serve the best use and add the most value to the process, and also, of course, provide the income, a way of living for myself. And frankly, because I don't have the college education, I did not seek a degree in college, this is a learning opportunity for me. I always look for things that are going to teach me something new that I'm going to be able to use in whatever way opens up to me. And so I'm always open. I'm always open to opportunities, and I just frankly, prayerfully consider them as they come, and I hope that it's all going to turn out for the best.
Okay. We're going to take a short break, and just hold on a few minutes.
Okay.
And we'll
I'm not going anywhere.
Please help yourselves to lemonades and cookies.
Just so the public knows, when we're done with this next round of questions, we'll ask both candidates to be out here, and we'll have a time for y'all to talk to them and introduce yourself and ask them questions, and then we'll conclude the meeting and give the board some direction on how to proceed with ranking and all that. So,
Mike, before we adjourn to the meet and greet, I'm not sure if everybody understands why Richard Reed isn't here, what happened, and I would like to make
Okay.
a few comments if I could.
sure.
Thank you.
You going to make them now or later?
Little Jerry's out here.
I thought I'd wait till we're finished with the questions, but before we start the meet and greet.
Did you get the brownie? Can I eat them all?
No, I'll wait.
It's heavy to Smith Creek.
I could tell. Your mama never made you brownies?
Not store-bought kind. Frankie, I got my truck back together.
How long? I can go ahead without it.
You know what he's doing. He's doing well.
Yeah, he said his thumb was sore.
Without Jerry.
Oh, okay. We should wait. Okay. We only have two people. We only have three more.
Better if you can answer.
Sincerely, please help yourselves to lemonade, punch, and cookies. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on, and because I don't want to embarrass Jerry, but he said he was sick at his stomach, so I don't want to put him in. But let's move on, and Lynn, you go ahead and answer.
I'm okay with it, though. You don't want to wait for him to come back?
Nah, let's go on. His wife suggested it we go on, and she knows him best.
We'll blame you.
So we're back to me again?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Our county lags behind many other counties in Florida and the nation when it comes to energy conservation and renewable energy. Taxpayer dollars are wasted, our businesses are less competitive, and our citizens have less spending money as a result. Please describe what you will do to reduce electricity and fuel expenditures within county government and within the county at large.
Well, I think the first thing we have to determine is where our energy costs are where are we spending the most money on our energy, and is it truly because we're not efficient, our buildings aren't enveloped properly, or we're not setting the thermostat high or low, or where the problems are first. And then I suppose setting policy about those types of things, the use of electricity. I thought that your willingness to provide an incentive program for employees who came up with ways to save utilities and costs like that, I thought that was a really good idea. We could probably, maybe explore some more of that. And then I would probably just begin to look at other counties like ours who have made headway in that arena, just like, the conference we just came from had lots of really good case studies about what other counties and communities have done to help with energy efficiency, and see if we can follow some of their model. The county as a whole, I think that the mission of Sustainable Big Bend, which is an organization that I co-founded, was to show people how, in their own individual lives and families, how they could live more simply, which usually turns out to be energy efficient and fuel efficient and non-dependent on whole lots of things, including financial independence. So I'm really encouraged by the programs and the things that we brought forward through the Green Living Expo. I think more education in our community about ways that people can save at home and work together is good. I really like the direction that Sustainable Big Bend has now begun to follow, which is they've begun small group discussions in communities all over the county, where they literally take a particular topic like water or water quality or quantity, and they study it, and then they come together and they discuss it, and they figure out ways that they can, apply the things they've learned in their own lives. So I think just like many of the other efforts that I've been involved with, the grassroots approach where you're showing individuals and families, that always, comes to the top and seems to work best, especially in a rural county like ours. So.
Okay, Jerry?
I do get to say something. I don't ask questions, but I have no question that you love this county, and I'm very happy for that. We all know how much you love the county, and that's very good.
That's good.
You're here because you love the county, not because of what you're getting. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, what do you perceive to be the administrator's role in working with the commission? I
think my role is to keep you as informed as possible about the priorities that you've decided for this county, the ways that you want this county to go, and giving you the information that you need to make the right kind of decisions. I also think that it's my job to keep the daily things going, the literal administration of the county, so that you don't have to be worried about those things, so that you can focus on the big picture and the really tough decisions that need to be made to move us forward. So I think those two things are probably the most important, aside from just being honest about where we are, what we're doing, and how we can get where you want to go.
Okay. Along the same question, just perceived to be the administrator's role in working with the county attorney.
Well, I see the county attorney as a partner, for sure, in county administration. They can certainly keep us out of trouble. And, I would look to our county attorney to advise us on legal matters. I'm not sure how to go much beyond that. I think, again, I'm interested in really looking at our policies and our processes, and so I would lean heavily on the county attorney to help me be sure that whatever changes or things that need to be done are done in a way that keeps us out of litigation and moves us forward at the same time.
And then the last one is with the community, how you perceive your involvement with the community as county administrator.
I believe that I have to be in the community, to be very active in the community, and I am that. I think doing whatever I can do to make our government as transparent as possible so that people can build some trust and respect in what we do. I think that not avoiding, bringing everyone to the table, regardless of their position, and having, open conversation and dialogue about the issues of the county and how we can all work together to move forward. That's my job.
Okay. Alan?
You've not been a county administrator before.
Nope.
What do you anticipate your first month on the job looking like? How would you prepare, and how would you continue your education to be a better county administrator?
I would begin preparing in the months leading up to the contract. I would be in Tim's office a lot, talking to him about, what we're doing and how we're doing it. I think my first order of business would probably be to look at personnel policy, not personnel, so to speak, but personnel policy and position descriptions and who's doing what, and figuring out where's the best way we can streamline and improve our process, and use, again, the incredible strengths that we have at the staff level to the best. I have, over the years that I've been in, these various positions, I always put myself in positions to learn the things that I need to know about what I'm doing. For instance, when I became the Tourist Development Council Director, I did not have any real marketing experience. My experience was administration, and they really needed that. But I needed to strengthen my knowledge of marketing and promotions. So when we joined the original Florida regional tourism group, the first thing I did was get on the marketing committee, because it was full of marketing experts. And I have learned so much in such a short time just from being involved in that and kind of hands-on. So that's the kind of things I would look to, maybe through the Florida Association of Counties, or whatever network and organizations there are out there that have to do with county administrators and their position. Just getting involved.
Okay. Randy?
Ma'am, I just got a quick comment. I was here when you got hired by Parrish, and I think the simple fact that you're here today, given the high number of qualified people that applied for this job, speaks volumes.
Thank
and
you.
You should be proud of yourself.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. That concludes unless there's any other questions to be asked. We
there
can do that. We
anything
got to
else?
ask the other one.
Is there anything else you would like to say?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right, if we could, Jennifer, or you or somebody over there could let David come on out. And at this point, I want to ask Ms. Arts if she would explain why the third candidate, just so the public understands why he's not here. Ms. Arts?
Yeah, I think I'll wait for David. Maybe. Okay. Our other candidate withdrew today, and he did not ask me to make any comments or provide any explanation. This is entirely my choice. If you haven't realized it already, I was very pleased to have Richard Reed interested in becoming our next county administrator. I saw him as a caring, energetic, and enthusiastic public servant with well-honed professional skills and invaluable experience as a government manager in several jurisdictions. And I personally am convinced that he could have helped our county in innumerable important ways. I'm very disturbed that he has withdrawn his application, and for me personally, our county's future looks less bright without Richard Reed or someone like him in it. And if you want to fully understand why Richard Reed withdrew his application for county administrator, I encourage you to speak with him personally. I have spoken with him at length 4 times in the past week, including Saturday and Sunday night. I said everything I could think of to persuade him to give us a chance. But his comfort level, and that was words he used, his comfort level was not high enough with either this board or with this county. And initially, Mr. Reed made clear his interest in us. He traveled here for his first interview on his own dime. He gave up 1.5 vacation days, which is precious time that he would have spent with his wife and 2 young sons that he sees only on weekends and vacations. So he showed his sincere interest in our county, a county he knows from his FSU days. After interviewing him individually, we collectively ranked him number 1. But instead of wooing him, I think we snubbed him, and these are my words, he didn't say that. We asked him to spend another precious vacation day on us, and we wouldn't help him out with his travel expenses for a return trip. When I made a motion to reimburse him for mileage, I couldn't even get a second for discussion. And I think, again, my words, Rich's reasonable interpretation was that this board wasn't really very interested in him, that we didn't consider it worth a few $100s to bring him back, that we weren't willing to make the same commitment to him that he had already made to us. I personally think we were penny wise and pound foolish. We saved a few $100s, and we lost a manager who successfully led Davenport out of a state of financial emergency, which we're on the brink of. A manager who recently saved Delray Beach $2.8 million. A manager who could have helped our county, I think, save hundreds of thousands of dollars because he's done it before. He hasn't just dreamed about doing it for a county. But in all fairness, it wasn't just our board's lack of interest in and commitment to him that I think drove him away. It was also our county and our county's reputation that Rich didn't feel comfortable with. I sometimes hear people lament about our county not being business friendly, but I think it's far worse than that. Our county has a well-deserved reputation for nasty politics and character assassination. I'll never understand why some of our citizens seem to have so little tolerance and goodwill and treat others with such negativity and hostility, never seeing the good, the considerable good that is in most people. And I'm shocked by some of the things that I hear said in this chamber and some of the things that I read in print, because that's simply not the way that anyone should talk to or about other people. And amazingly, some of the worst offenders actually seem to think they're helping or protecting our county. But I think they're wrong. I think they're hurting our county in many serious ways. Also very hurtful to the well-being and the future of our county is the strong prejudice against anyone not local, however variously that may be described. Anything that contributes to an us versus them mentality is incredibly narrow-minded and destructive. Richard Reed was looking for a nice community, a place where he could reunite his family and raise his young sons, a place where he could stay for a long period of time and contribute professionally. And I think he concluded, again, these are my words, that Wakulla County was not the kind of community that would truly welcome him, appreciate his considerable knowledge and skills, give him a fair chance to prove his worth, work with him to accomplish desirable goals. Sadly, I think he's probably right. I think the deck was stacked against him, and I think some of our hatchet men and women were already sharpening their blades, ready to tear another person down, no matter how inaccurate or incomplete or insignificant the information. Some other community, a luckier and nicer community, will end up hiring Rich Reed. And our little county will continue to struggle on, mired in mud, and get left further and further behind. So I'm grieving now for our county, and I'm trying very hard not to think about what might have been. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we need to just have the next portion, which is the meet and greet, and then dismiss from the meeting, or can we?
I think we can adjourn the meeting and then just have the meet and greet. Absolutely.
Okay. Just to, so all of you know, and then we'll, if you have any questions, we need to be prepared at the next meeting on the 19th.
16th.
I'm sorry, 16th to be prepared to select one of these two candidates. What needs to happen next is Mr. DeBose needs to get our top ranked. I suggest that we give the top rank a number 2 and the second rank a number 1. We need to rank those the two.
What now?
Let me finish and maybe it'll make sense. We need to rank the two candidates.
Okay.
Number 2 and number 1. And then give that to Mr. DeBose. And then you need to be prepared to come and vote on a candidate come the 16th.
Let's say give the number 2 candidate a 1 and number...
No, maybe I did, but that's not what I meant. Number 2 and number 1. So anyway, she needs that, and then we need to be prepared to get this done and then talk about it on the 16th, how we want to proceed with it. And then I want to get some direction. You guys need to be thinking about the direction you want to give me to negotiate with the candidate, the number 1 candidate, so that we can move on through that process. And as far as salary, terms of their contract, all that needs to be thought out. So I'm not going to do that on my own. I want you guys to tell me what you want, and then that's the direction I'll work in.
We have to do that in open forum.
Yes. Okay, any questions?
One more question. After we adjourn, I assume even if we're in this room, we're still not allowed to talk to each other about any of the candidates.
Correct.
Do you have anything you want to say?
Say it now. Okay?
Oh, you brownie.
All right?
Before we do adjourn, I did want, unrelated to this, but came out earlier this week to make sure everyone heard, we discussed at our last meeting that we were up to be moved into a RACIC, a Rural Area of Economic Concern.
we
and
are.
the governor has signed us into the Northwestern RACIC now. So if you have more questions about that, I suggest you talk to our attorney and county administrator, interim county administrator, Jim. But
very good
that's
news.
very good news, and we're very excited about it. I want to thank Paul Johnson, Jennifer Langston, and we'll do it again at the next meeting, and everyone, Pam Portwood, everyone who helped with that. It was a big deal, and we really appreciate it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I want to thank Ms. Arch for her comments about civility, and they were very heartfelt.
Yes, well said. And I appreciate that. And I, too, had put him down as the number one candidate, and I did talk to him at least 3 times, and I, short of begging him to come, I think it's unfortunate, but, and I wish we'd have had, I think we got 2 outstanding candidates. I think it serves the county better, the more qualified candidates we have to interview is better for the county. But I want to thank David and Pam for being here. Like Randy said earlier, that says a lot about you guys' applications and your character to make it this far and to end up here between the 2 of you. And in the end, I hope we can all be, whoever gets selected will be work in that direction, and we can all be friends after it's all said and done. And again, I thank all the public for being here. And again, make sure if you haven't met these folks, do go.
I have a question. If we're going to send Debbie a 2 and a 1, why are we doing that when we're going to come back on Monday night and do a vote? What's the purpose?
I'm not sure that was the process we approved.
Probably just to approve the ranking, I would guess.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, I'd be interested to see what that fallout is. I mean, personally,
We're going to do a vote anyway on Monday night,
right.
but we're going to turn it. We're going to vote when we turn it into her. We voted anyway, right?
You're going to send an email that says my first choice is X, my second choice is Y. She'll add it up as she has before, continuing our process. Whoever is the highest ranked will come to the meeting and vote to approve or not approve.
We will vote on that person.
Yes.
Please excuse me.
Actually, the lowest rank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's,
But give your first choice a number 2.
wait, that's the part that was
Right. That's the way we've been doing it, Randy.
Yes, that's the way we've been doing it. They get
We
the
did
higher number.
We did a 10. We did a 5.
First choice is a number 2. Your second choice is a number 1.
off call, Debbie.
Yeah, I've always specified, I think I did it opposite, I've always specified what it was in my email, so it works. It's okay, I think we understand.
Okay.
It's county government, folks.
Any more discussion?
I just got elected. It didn't take long for me to dumb down, did it?
No more questions, we don't have to move, but yeah.
All right, we're adjourned then. Thank y'all.